Of all the witnesses who took the stand in this trial, none voiced their grievances against Najib Razak as openly as his former number 2 in the finance ministry, Ahmad Husni Hanadzlah. Husni had a bone to pick with the former PM. Najib, the ex-cabinet minister said, had not only blocked him out of 1MDB and SRC, he had also accused him of corruption and sexual harassment. And this, Husni said, was because he had questioned what was going on with the two companies. By the Malaysian Insight, this is The People versus Najib Razak. Follow us into the courtroom where it all happens. I'm Patrick Teo. Day 49 of Najib's SRC international trial saw the former Prime Minister arriving at the Kuala Lumpur High Court in a grey pinstripe suit matched with a silver tie dotted with small black circles. As usual, he greeted a handful of supporters at the porch before briskly making his way up to the 5th floor, where his trial was being heard by Judge Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali. Former Finance Minister 2, Ahmad Husni Hanadzlah, was back on the stand as the prosecution's 56th witness. He was dressed in a similar outfit to what he wore on Wednesday, a black suit with a red tie. Proceedings began with Najib's lawyer Shafi Abdullah kicking off his cross-examination. Husni said that he had resigned from all his posts in 2016 to cover up for Najib and the 1MDB scandal, which broke the year before. Earlier this week, Husni had described to the court how Najib had blocked him out of matters concerning 1MDB and SRC when he raised questions about the company's dealings. He said that even though he was a finance minister, he felt like an office boy when it came to 1MDB and SRC. Today, the witness got increasingly riled up as he answered Shafi's questions. The lawyer remarked that Husni sounded like he had an axe to grind and wanted to ascertain why he was so angry. Shafi asked Husni what allegations were made against him prior to his resignation. Husni said there were allegations of corruption and sexual harassment, and that these came up soon after he raised the 1MDB issue in Parliament in October 2016. A police report was lodged over the sexual harassment claim. The lawyer asked if Husni thought Najib was behind the allegations. Husni said yes, and that it made him upset. Prosecutor Sitambaram stood up and objected to this line of questioning. Judge Nazlan ruled that it was scandalous in nature and disallowed any more such questions. Shafi moved on to Husni's role as Finance Minister 2. He had served in this capacity for 7 years, from 2009 when Najib appointed him until 2016 when he resigned. The exchange got a bit testy here. Well, more so than before anyway. Yvonne, can you tell us how it went down?
During his tenure, Husni said he met with Najib more than 20 times to voice his disagreements, but he didn't bring up the issues to his fellow cabinet members. When Shafi asked why he only spoke to Najib, Husni threw the lawyer's own words back to him. "You said the PM had full power. Why must I talk to the others?" This irked Shafi, who retorted, "Have you heard of collective responsibility?" Not missing a beat, Husni snapped back, "You're not in politics. You don't know anything." The witness continued, describing Najib as an autocratic leader. Again, Shafi cut him off, reminding Husni that he was not in parliament and that he should just answer the lawyer's questions. Even though Najib had told him to stay out of 1MDB and SRC's business, Husni said he still kept an eye on them. When he heard from his own officers that SRC's funds had been frozen in Switzerland, he had sought the Swiss minister's help to get it back. Then the court broke for lunch.
During lunch break, reporters asked Shafi why several members of Najib's 12-man defense had left the team. Shafi said he did not know why they left. The lawyers had different expertise in the case and they each have separate contracts, he said. Last night, a member of Najib's legal team told the Malaysian Insight that 2 senior lawyers and their team are no longer actively a part of the case.
Yeah. So I don't know. No? I don't know the full arrangement. Okay. We work together when we need to. Yeah. Thank you.
Proceedings resumed with Husni on the stand. Shafi continued his cross-examination. The lawyer asked Husni if he had resigned from his cabinet and party posts because he was upset with Najib. The witness insisted that wasn't the case. In fact, he said, he has been praying for Najib every day. He even recited that prayer for the court in Malay. Ya Allah, bukalah hati Datuk Sri Najib melihat kebenaran, which translates to, God, please open Najib's heart to see the truth. In the dock, the former PM appeared amused. Shafi handed over to DPP Muhammad Izzat Fauzan for re-examination. Prompted by the prosecutor's questions, Husni said that it was the joint responsibility of all cabinet ministers to debate and go over memorandums submitted to them. He reiterated that he could not touch memos concerning 1MDB and SRC. When he asked the companies for documents, none were provided to him. 1MDB and SRC were just not talked about, Husni testified. After a few more questions, the witness was released. Husni was the prosecution's second-last witness. Yvonne, what happens next?
Yes, the prosecution's case for the SRC trial has entered its last leg. After all their witnesses have been called, lawyers on both sides will present their final submissions, which is expected by August 16, that's next week. Judge Nazlan will then decide whether there is a prima facie case against Najib, which means there is enough evidence against the accused to have a case. If that is established, Najib will be asked to enter his defense, which is when the trial will enter its second phase. The defense will then call its witnesses to the stand.
Prosecutor Sitambaram asked for an early adjournment before the final witness was called. Both sides need time to sort out some 600 exhibits, he said. Judge Nazlan allowed it and proceedings wrapped up for the day. The SRC trial will resume tomorrow at 10 a.m. with the prosecution's last witness on the stand. And it will be a name we've heard repeatedly throughout the trial. MACC Investigating Officer Rosli Hussain. This podcast is produced, written and mixed by Revati Supramaniam, Yapik Kwan, Yvonne Lim and Ravin Palanisamy. Additional reporting by Beat Hong and Timothy Acharyam. I'm Patrick Teo.